Hey everybody, Randy Reviews It here. So today is going to be a longer video. I hope that you bear with it just to walk you through what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how I heard about Type A, how I got into them, what guns I own from Type A, how I ordered them and how I got them, and that whole process. I'm going to do a gun breakdown of each of the guns that I have, and then I'm going to give a statement on when and what you should order from Type A if you're looking to place an order with Type A rifle. So long story short, I'm definitely going to recommend them for certain things. Other things, I think you could look elsewhere, potentially, depending on what you're really looking for. And then the last item, I hope Type A watches this, because there's a few things that I think they could do better, but really it's nitpicking at this point. It's just some of my minor gripes, and it's because, you know, of the way that I shoot and my personal opinion on a few things. So if you're gonna bear with me, we're gonna get through the guns. So first off, to declare what I own. So I have an 11.5 inch piston pistol from Type A. I bought it used while I was waiting for my custom order to be built. I got a little, you know, antsy with waiting. I went on Gun Broker and I was able to procure, you know, a piston, which I wasn't originally interested in, but it was out there. And then my other gun is a 12.5 inch DI that was a factory Form 4 SBR from them. I'll get into that and why I did a factory Form 4 SBR. But long story short, it's because I thought it would be a Form 1. I didn't know a Form 4. So I was kind of new to the whole NFA thing at the time when I ordered it. So we'll get into that. But first, let's get into how I heard about Type A. So I'm a big fan of 1911 Syndicate. Jake actually helped me find a realtor to move out here to Eastern Tennessee. You know, I called him like everyone else did, and I said, hey, I want to buy a land that I could shoot on in a house and things like that. And I wasn't like stuck on one thing. I knew about moving, and he definitely hooked me up with a good realtor here. He checked in. It was great to work with him. So if you are looking to move and you're serious about actually buying a house, not just buying land to shoot on or anything like that, check out 1911 Syndicate. They're great guys. They do great reviews. Crispy's got like the best visuals in the game, hands down. So it's fun watching those. But that's how I heard about Type A rifle, is 1911 Syndicate did a video on their DI guns, and then they did a video on their piston guns. So I was kind of aware of Type A from that. Everything that they kind of talked about, I was very interested in. I was kind of looking at my next AR at that point. I currently only had a Midwest Industries 18-inch AR. I was looking for something a little smaller. Obviously, I have an 11.5 and a 12.5 now. I love the smaller guns at this point. So, yeah, to break it down, I bought an 11.5 off Gun Broker, piston pistol, while I was waiting for my 12.5 one to be completed. So, to give you a little background, let's start with when I ordered my 12.5. So, I ordered it in September of 2021, and it arrived in November of 2022. So it was a 14-month wait on my 12.5 custom DI gun from them, which was their pro model. So it's their pro model at the time. So I ordered it, and it must have just been when everyone saw the 1911 Syndicate video as well and decided to place orders, because I wanted to reach out before making this video and see if it was still, you know, 12-month wait or whatever it was. And it sounded like the guys at BG Defense told me they're down around 8 to 10 weeks right now. And this is at the time of the video, so don't hold me to that, but it's definitely a lot shorter than what I experienced. So I went through a 14-month wait, and while I was waiting, I decided to look around to see if I could just buy something without waiting. So at the time, you know, braces were still regular, pistols were still regular, everything was still happening with those. So I looked on Gunbroker. I know Defcon Creative is one of their vendors. He lists on there, and I think there's an Advanced Armament that lists on Gunbroker as well. If you're not looking for anything too crazy, I definitely recommend going through the vendors. It'll be a quicker process if they have what you want. But they didn't have what I wanted at the time. So I ended up buying a used Contractor model, which was their piston at the time. So the Contractor now is like a full billet gun that you can decide if you want to go gas or piston. But at the time when I bought this gun, Contractor just meant piston. Pro meant DI, kind of at that time. So they've changed that up a little bit. They have their full billet now on their Contractors. Their Pro models are not billet. It's just kind of their forged receivers at that point. Also, they no longer offer the piston on anything except a Contractor, or they never did. But let's say this, the only way to get the piston upper now if you buy a whole gun is on their Contractor series. So if you want the piston, expect to be paying the top dollar, getting the billet receiver and everything like that. If you're only interested in DI, you have a few more options with things. So you have the Pro model where you can still get the adjustable gas block on there. All right, so to discuss a little bit more, I put in an order, BG Defense. There was a little bit of contact back and forth because I did a custom order because I wanted an OSS flash hider on my guns. I have OSS, now Huxworks, cans for my guns, and I wanted that on there. I just wanted a gray Cerakote, nothing too crazy, but I wanted them to put on the flash hider and everything like that. So I did a custom order. So it took 14 months, and then I was unaware of if you get the gun straight from the manufacturer in an SBR format, that it's a Form 4 rather than it being a Form 1. So I was excited. I thought it was only going to take 30 days to get my DI gun out of NFA jail. Well, it was a Form 4. So I got the bad news, and that's when I bought the piston one because I was like, look, I'm going to have to wait a whole nother year probably for this gun just about. So let's buy one to hold me over while we waited. Fortunately for me and unfortunately for the vendor, because of some of the Biden policies right now and some of the audits they've been doing, my FFL had some clerical mistakes supposedly, and they lost their license. And my Form 4 factory SBR from Type A got approved on a much quicker timeline because of it. So I actually got it after, I want to say 72 days I was waiting, after it was completed in November. So I picked it up around February, I think. The beginning of February is when I had both guns officially, and I was able to compare and contrast them and that sort of thing. So I know it's been a long intro. Thanks for bearing with me, but that's kind of the ordering process and everything. So I'm gonna do a quick cut and then we'll give you a gun breakdown. Hey everybody, Randy reviews it here. Let's look at my piston 11.5 Type A upper here. So you can see I got the 5.56 QD Huxworks can. I got the Slade hand stop on here, barricade stop, Cloud Defensive Rain 1.0 on here, that sort of thing. So a couple things. Let's first start talking about the handguard, because I think this is important too. Is the handguard has kind of these, right there you can see it, it's got like kind of those flared areas for like a pick spot, and then the rest is M-lock in the middle. What I would say is if you're going to get something shorter than 12.5 or 12.5 even, or shorter, you should stick to like M-lock only or pick only, or any of that stuff, because what you end up doing is this area right here eats up a lot of your real estate. So for this, this barricade stop, hand stop thing, I had to put the barricade stop further forward because of that slope that comes up here. And that's on pick. And then I had to put a pick rail in here because I had both pick for that. But it's like you get a lot less spots to work with because of right here where it slopes and it's kind of unusable in that 1/2 inch area on each side here. So to give you a better view of that again, these two areas right here where it's sloped, they're not usable. So it's like you lose a whole M-lock area right there. So if you're gonna get a shorter gun, I would say stick to one or the other. I know this handguard looks really amazing with like how it has both on there and it kind of flares out. It's good for mounting lights, things like that to that pick. But if you're going 12.5 or smaller, I would maybe just stick to M-lock. So let's get into the real kind of guts of this, which is the piston bolt carrier. And I apologize if you hear any lawn mowing, they're out there, but the piston bolt carrier, so you can see that it's just a molded CNC kind of like cutout, that there's nothing screwed on or anything like that, so that won't fail. It's just a little cup there where the piston hits it, drives everything back. You can see it's pretty nice. It's tin or titanium nitride or whatever. One of the things that I'll point out that's different on this bolt carrier versus the one on the DI is the back of this kind of has that taper right there. I'm not sure if that improves things or how that works, or if that was like an older model, or if it's only the piston one that does that, but it's a little tapered edge you can see there where it slopes back here. I would assume that like makes it easier to go into kind of that buffer tube and stuff like that. Finish, so this bolt carrier, it definitely had at least 2,000 rounds when I bought it. I've put 1,000 on it, and it's holding up. The finish is really going strong. You can see there, that's pretty much just oil on there. But the finish is going pretty strong. There's just a couple spots where it's wearing at this point. And I would say that's about 3,000 rounds in, because I bought this used, and the previous user, there was like carbon lockup on the muzzle. It was chemo, and they definitely ran it a lot with things. So the finish is holding up pretty good, in my opinion. With the bolt, it doesn't look like there's anything too different. There's definitely like kind of gas rings on it yet, but you know, like the wear on the back here, you don't get, like you can see that's pristine because there's no gas coming through to press this because it's piston. So the back of this is like absolutely pristine. Even after, you know, however many rounds, there's no gas in there. And everything's staying really, really clean yet. You can see there's wear there, but you know, that's to be expected when it's kind of reciprocated that many times. So one thing I'll say though, is you can see there does get some gas there, and partially, you know, I still have a flow through can on here, but there's still some back pressure coming out of that when you suppress a gun, and that back pressure is going to carry a little bit of gunk with it. It's not nearly as much as the DI guns tend to get, so this has been a little bit without a cleaning. A few hundred rounds since I cleaned it. Need to take care of that. Maintain your guns. Don't just torture test them, maintain them well. So there's some gunk that'll get on this edge, but that's just because of the back pressure and things like that. You can see here too, that cam pin, there's not like, I would expect, sometimes I feel like more of an indent, I feel like on my DI guns than this. So it's not being abused or anything like that. Firing pin, everything looks great. One other thing I wanted to show you about this piston one, and maybe this is because of, you know, this is their Contractor from way back when, so it's still a forged upper on it then. It wasn't the billet at the time. But you can see this charging handle. So this charging handle might have been one of their earlier ones. It's got a little bit fanged out, it's hollowed out, it's got the grenade on it, everything. Little flag, a little more flair to it. But it's a pretty good charging handle. I got no complaints. when I show you the next gun, that's probably my favorite charging handle of all time. So be ready for that. Stick around. Let's get into the DI gun. All right, everyone, we're back with my 12.5 DI gun here. So you can see I got this one done. That's all M-lock all the way around. Flash hider on there. I have the Valhalla Tactical with a little nipple HRT kind of thing. So that, I have my BCM on here because it's an SBR, but basically a similar upper. It's still got that, like I said, even with the Pro and Contractor, you still get that forward assist on here. And then just basic on there. I got a Holosun 503 on there. Really like that. I'm going to be doing a video on that shortly. You can see really quickly too in there the little set screw for the superlative arms. There you can see the gas block on this. You got to watch when you're mounting M-lock stuff because you'll bump into that. And it's difficult to mount stuff in there, so you got to be aware of that. You kind of lose that slot with that gas block. But here's that charging handle. So whichever charging handle this is like my favorite charging handle of all time. It's ambi, it's easy. It doesn't have like sharp edges to snag on. I don't know when companies decided they wanted to put grappling hooks on as damn charging handles, but I'm glad Type A kind of rounded this off. They didn't make them like a huge profile either, but it's really easy to just slap in and rip that. So best charging handle that I've ever used and that I've ever seen with the way these levers are designed. So big fan of that. Let's go with the lower. So you can see just kind of like my other lower, I've switched out the safety because I hate anything in my trigger finger right there. So I got a Trigger Tech on this, low throw, kind of a quick throw, and it's very smooth. I'll be doing a video on that shortly. But you can see here too, so what I talked about earlier where on their billet one, they have the bolt release and it comes out and it sits above this screw, or it sits like higher than the screw. On my Blackout Defense, the bolt release comes out, but it sits over that screw. So if you ever want to take that screw out on the Blackout Defense, you got to take that whole kind of bolt release out. So on their billet one, they did a good job with that. This did have a Law Tactical folder on it, on both of the guns actually. I did a video earlier. I absolutely despise the Law Tactical folder. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a badass CIA agent where I need like a backpack gun or anything like that right now. You know, maybe if they change their physical standards, I might be able to swing that. But as of right now, no. Also, it added a ton of length. So that Law Tactical at least added 1.5 inches, it felt like, on that buffer tube. And I wasn't a fan with that, especially like getting it into bags, getting it into my range bags and stuff like that. They got a pretty interesting back plate on here. So it sticks out quite a bit, and it's got a really big kind of QD, but you can see also too, it covers up a bunch of their castle nut. It's like slightly staked in there. I'm not too worried about that coming off. They do a good job on things. You can see there too with the trigger where I took a file and kind of knocked down those edges because they were sharp. You can see on the B5 where I took a file and knocked down those edges because they were sharp as well. So just some of that I've taken out of there. You can see a little bit of gunk in there. I shoot this a bunch. Right now I have a JP Enterprises, silent capture spring in there that I'm testing out because a lot of times with this lower, I'll shoot my 300 Blackout upper too. So I wanted something a little bit quieter even. And that seems to be working pretty well. So yeah, overall, pretty good lower. I changed out to the B5 with the SC Irregulars K grip, which is my favorite grip by a landslide, hands down. It's a little aggressive, so I put some hockey tape on there so that I don't mess up my hands as much. The B5 stock on here is pretty slick. It's not my favorite. It's got a little bit wider cheek welds, or the way that they are. I'm not a huge fan of them. I kind of like the Magpul SLK more, or a CTR or something like that. So let's get into the bolt and the bolt carrier group. We saw the piston one earlier. Let's see how this is a little bit different. So you got your typical kind of gasic, I'm trying to think of what that's called, like your carrier key. Your carrier key right there to accept the gas. It's long, it's smoothed out at the tip. Right there you can see that they thin it down, make it round there. They got it staked in there pretty good. They just got the hexes. They don't have, I think people are starting to throw on those really crazy screws with a bunch of notches on them, that sort of thing. They don't have those. They have hexes, but it's a pretty good key. I do notice some wear around that, so there's tight tolerances here. This gun has about 1,000 rounds through it, and you can see that carrier key finish is getting taken off a little bit. The titanium nitride is doing pretty well. You can see in this corner where it probably hits on those rails that gets a little bit of wear up on the front and up on the back. And like I talked about too, in the piston one, this was flared at the end. It's not on this one. I don't know kind of what the benefits of that, purpose, that sort of thing. But overall, this finish is holding up really well. It's titanium nitride. No complaints there. Got the little Type A logo. Makes you look cool. What is it? Tom Clancy's The Division. If you played that, kind of looks like the Patriot because of the titanium nitride. So let's look at the bolt carrier, or the bolt. It's magnetic particle inspected, everything you'd expect. You see this one, after 1,000 rounds, I've cleaned it, but I took it to the range, I think 1 more time or 2 more times since then. We'll get that in focus. There's definitely some residue that gets on there compared to the piston. So you got to be a little bit more adamant about that. Not as much wear there, but then again, that piston one has a lot more rounds through it. Ooh. So that cam pin looking pretty good. I don't see any indentation or anything like that. Everything else is looking good. So overall, I definitely like that piston bolt carrier group. The only thing that I'm a little concerned about is, like, what if I ever need to replace it? I don't know. They don't sell it on their website, as far as I know. So I think I just need to order from Superlative Arms if you ever actually need to replace that bolt carrier. The bolt looks the exact same as a regular bolt in there. It's just cleaner because it doesn't get the pressure from the gas going through, and kind of that residue. Their magwell have a little bit of a flare on them. I haven't had any issues seating mags with this. This definitely seats mags easier than my Blackout Defense. My Blackout Defense is very tight tolerances, and if you got a full mag, you really need to smack it when you put it in there. But this is just kind of forged lower as well, nothing too crazy. This was their pro model. So yeah, let's move on. Hey everybody, so we're back here. I'm talking about now when and what you should order from Type A Rifle if you're going to order from them, if you're interested in their products. So let's start with the first caveat. If you're interested in any of their clone style guns, definitely get them. They probably do some of the best clones out there. It's all built by them. They make everything like right. They clone pretty well. So if you're looking for their clone stuff, I'm not into cloning or LARPing or any of that stuff, other than, you know, maybe putting on a chest rig, even though I'm a Gravy SEAL. So I'm not really interested in any of the cloning stuff. If you're into that, you know, more power to you. I think Type A makes some of the best clones out there. You're going to pay a little bit more, but you're going to get their customer service and their quality. And that brings me to my next point. So one of the things is Their customer service is very, very top notch. They've responded to me. I had a primer popping from some of my Palmetto State Armory ammo the other day that I was shooting my 300 blackout upper, which isn't even, Type A's, but it was in my Type A lower, and I couldn't get like the trigger locked up, the trigger seized up, and I couldn't figure out what's going on. I hit up Type A on Instagram, and they responded by the time that I figured it out. So it's just me taking some things apart. I found out there was a primer trapped under kind of like the trigger housing, whatever you want to call it, the sear or whatever it is. So there was a primer that somehow got nested way under there, and I was able to get it out. But BG Defense and, they responded, and they're like, hey, we're at a gun show or we're on the road right now. Can you tell us more? Also, hit us up through the email. That'll probably work out better for you. But they respond to things really quickly. They're very helpful. It's something you get, when you pay for like top tier guns. Like I've experienced kind of the same thing with Blackout Defense and V7. Their customer service is impeccable. So if it's something that you want to know that you're going to be able to pick up a line and get someone right away, it's definitely good to go with Type A or any of these top companies. I've been trying to get Holosun to respond to me, and it's been like 5 weeks. I've sent 5 emails. I've hit them on chat. Like, they're just not responding. So I'm a big fan of paying for companies that provide good customer service, because I think eventually you're going to need it, and when you need it, it'll matter. So one of the reasons, if you're going to go with Type A, the customer service is there. So which guns would I order from Type A? So if you're going to get a real, like, pardon my French, but basic bitch gun, I don't think you should probably go through Type A. If you're just getting a regular gas block, maybe Block 2 style quad, whatever, where it's a non-adjustable gas block and you're just doing basic, I think it's called their standard or maybe their Mil Plus or whatever that is. I don't think like paying what you are going to pay might be worth it. There's a lot of guns out there, especially a lot of companies right now that specialize more in that kind of basic, almost mil-spec gun. And to me, it'd be a waste of time for you to potentially go through Type A, especially if you have to do the wait. If you end up somehow having to wait like I did with your order on such a basic gun that you could get at a lot of other places built just as well, I would probably not buy that from Type A. What I would get from Type A. So if you're looking for the softest shooting DI gun that you can get, Type A is pretty close. Like it's a tie up there from everything that I fired so far. You can adjust that gas block on the Superlative Arms gas block that they put on there. You can adjust that, just exactly where you want it. You can tune it for adverse conditions, whatever it may be. So if you're looking for a fully adjustable gun that can shoot as soft as you want, or you can make it as gassy as you want for adverse conditions and then tune it for a can, things like that, I think that Type A Pro model is definitely something you should consider. I would only get into the Contractor on 2 conditions. So the first condition I'd get into the Contractor on, you want that piston upper, and you don't have a lower that you're interested in putting it on. You want that Type A, you want that matching. You can do like, they do like a multi-gray now, they do multi-FDE. So if you're looking for that crazy Cerakote, that really cool looking gun, and you want that piston one, definitely you're gonna go with a Contractor. You're gonna pay for it. It's probably around $3,000 all said and done. But what you're gonna get is a piston gun that's ultra reliable, still fits in all the formats and everything, comfortable manual of arms. That Superlative Arms piston system, I haven't seen a complaint on it yet. I don't hear about any issues with it. I hear more issues about, you know, like primary weapon systems and some of the other guns. But I haven't really heard about a superlative arms piston system, you know, kind of shitting the bed. So you're getting really good quality. They're doing a little bit extra, obviously, on those contractors. One of the things that I'll say about their contractors too, so if you're left-handed, I definitely think that you should get their contractor series as well, because the billet receiver that they make is ambi, and they do a really good ambi. So I have the Blackout Defense rifle. There's a video out on it, my first impression one, as of the time of this video. And I think they do the ambi billet a little bit better than Blackout Defense, to be honest. So one of the things that Blackout Defense does is they cover up one of the trigger, you know, the anti-rotational pins or whatever it is for the trigger. They cover that with their bolt release, their ambi bolt release on like strong side, if you will, if you're right-handed. Type A, they have that where you can still get to that screw easily. So, you know, they definitely thought about everything. The one thing that I would say that and I'll get into it later, but might as well say it now, I'm not a big fan of forward assist. Type A definitely is a fan of forward assist, so you're going to get one on there regardless of what level you order. But if you're going to order from Type A, there's only 3 things overall, just to recap on what you should get. Clone guns from them, an adjustable DI gun in that pro level, Contractor if you want one and you're left-handed. The third thing is that piston gun. If you want that piston gun, you're going to be paying for the Contractor as well. So anything below that pro model, I would look elsewhere, to be honest. I love Type A. I've had good luck. The things run like sewing machines. But part of the thing that makes it run so well is that adjustable gas block or that adjustable piston. And if you're not getting that, I'm not sure that the weight or the cash or whatever you're shelling out for it is worth it. They do make most of their stuff in-house, so you're getting kind of that custom boutique stuff. They got great customer service if you're worried about that. So maybe it is worth getting it, but there's a lot of options out there. You know, Sons of Liberty, Cobalt Kinetics, there's some really good guns out there right now that if you're not looking for that adjustable system, you could go with and probably be happy. So let's get into what Type A rifle could do better in the next area. So what do I think that Type A could do better? So let's start with the first one. Their website sucks. Sorry guys, but your website is brutal. One of the things that I've noticed is if you're trying to order a gun or anything like that is it asks you to pick which handguard you want. Well, there's nothing on there that really specifies what each of the handguard designations are. So it just says MK2. Well, I don't know what the hell an MK2 is. Like, I have to go all over searching for what an MK2 is on their other shop or their SPR. Like, it doesn't tell you what that handguard actually is or anything like that on their website. The pictures of the guns are just like a straightforward one. There's not like multiple angles or anything like that. It's a little cumbersome. It's hard to find things. Yeah, the new website, because I was around when they had an old website. I like the old one better, personally. The new one definitely sucks. I hope that they can, you know, correct it down, add a little bit more information to it, make it a little bit easier to check out with. Number 2. So if they had a little bit more custom options, and I'm not saying like it needs to get crazy. I'm not saying you gotta go wild with it. But one of the things that they don't have is just like, if I wanted a strong-sided safety only on my gun, I don't have the option of that. Like, I think that's a pretty basic item with that you should be able to kind of ask and order and designate that sort of an item. So I wish they had a few more custom options. I know they got some interesting colors out there too. It's kind of creative. So yeah, a few more custom options that they could do out there. maybe a few more trigger options as well. It's either flat or regular. There's not really like weights or tunings or anything like that. So I wish they offered a little bit more of that. My biggest gripe probably with the Type A guns is the B5 furniture, especially the trigger guard. So the trigger guard is like a damn cheese grater. It will take skin off your hand if you put your finger into that trigger guard wrong, because it's got really sharp points. On both of my Type A guns, I actually had to knock it down with a file because it was a little brutal. Like I was getting like actual bleeding cuts from using that B5 trigger guard. So I'm not a fan of that. I would definitely tell you the grip as well. It's a little too aggressive. It's not my favorite. So I took both the B5 hand grips off. Didn't like those. I filed down both the trigger guards. The stock's not my favorite. It's more of a personal preference, but I think the Magpul, like what is it, the SLK or even the CTR is a better option there. So I'm not a fan of the B5 stuff really at all. Sorry, B5. If you want advice, reach out to me. Lastly, removing a forward assist is maybe a custom option that we talked about. So we talked about a little bit that forward assist is kind of there. It's on all their guns. I'm not really a big fan of it. I get it. Kyle Rittenhouse used a forward assist supposedly or whatever it is. And then people start buying them just like they start buying 357 SIG again after that guy used it in a church or whatever it is. So that's your prerogative. I think that a forward assist is kind of pointless on a gun. You know, Garantham, I think, even showed you just use your thumb on that little cutout that's on the bolt carrier, and you can usually just inch it forward if you actually... I've never had to use one. I've fired a lot of rounds in ARs, still never had to use one. So the forward assist, getting to slab side that down would be a great option to add. Type A, if you're listening, you know, you guys do a lot of great things. I was really reaching on some of these gripes, you know, because I hate left-handed people, and I'm very specific with my furniture. I like certain things on there. I mean, maybe some options on the furniture would have been great, but overall, very happy with my guns. They run like sewing machines, whatever you want to call it. You know, oil through a goose, grease through a goose, whatever you want to call it. They run fast. They shoot soft. They're very accurate. They point well. Like I really don't have any complaints about the performance on these guns at all. I think the Superlative Arms gas blocks, even though they're set screws, I haven't heard of any of them walking off. I know that a lot of people are kind of against that set screws. They seem like they've been holding up. I've put a decent amount of rounds through them, and that's been, you know, all with the can, so it gets hot. No issues there. So overall, if you're looking for a good adjustable gun, especially with that piston upper, Type A is something that you should be looking into. Their ordering times have definitely come down since when I ordered. So doing a custom order, I think, isn't as much of a risk as it was back when I did it. So go wild with some of those. I love seeing like the multi-FDEs and the multi-grays posted on Instagram. Those things look really, really nice. And yeah, Type A, just keep providing the great customer service and, you know, good working rifles out there. So thanks everyone for bearing with me on this review. It was something that I really wanted to get out there. I wanted to give everyone information on, you know, potentially what they should buy from Type A, how I felt about them. So I hope you've gotten that. If you have any questions about the process, ordering from them, what you should get, you know, just my 2 cents, feel free to leave a comment. I respond to a lot of comments. I'm not that big of a YouTuber yet. I'll hit you up. Feel free to hit me up on Instagram too if you want like a full chat. Everything like that. If you liked the video, if you found it valuable in any way, shape, or form, I appreciate a thumbs up on things. Definitely subscribe as well. I'm getting close to that 500. I might do a giveaway coming up here. Definitely doing a giveaway at 1,000. So we'll get there. But thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate your time. Hope you get a good gun out of things. Doesn't have to be a Type A, but if you want an adjustable one, it's a top contender. All right, take care.